Welcome to a 30-minute flow yoga to set up. What I mean by that is find our foundations, get steady, start formulating a physical relationship to steadiness so that we can translate that into the way we organize our month, our life, our time. So I'm going to suggest that you use a block or two. Excuse me, I didn't have my blocks prepared. So I'm going to suggest that you use a block or two. We're going to start in Virasana Hero's pose. So that's seated. If you know that pose right away and you know that's not for you, any seat will do. I'm going to start with two. I don't need two, but I'm going to start with two, kind of a tall stack, to show how this would look for someone with a tighter body, tighter thighs, hips, knees. And then also, I know not everyone has yoga blocks. Big firm pillows is a great substitute for blocks. So you'll come down onto your mat, you'll come onto your knees and your hands, and then you kind of walk your shins back. So the blocks or pillows will sit between your ankles, more or less, depending on how your body's built. And so this tall stack, you can see it in my spine, you can maybe see it in my legs. This really doesn't put any pressure on my body whatsoever. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to feel the same way. So if you feel pressure or pain in your knees, you got to skip this and just do a comfortable seat, maybe supported as well over on top of a block or a pillow. I'm going to take one of the blocks away. And obviously you can see a different relationship to how my thighs are, but this feels good to me. And so once you get into this Virasana, also called the Hero's Pose, I want you to just rest your hands on your thighs, sit tall, and close your eyes. And start to first just bring awareness to yourself, to this moment, to your body, to the 30 minutes that you've carved out of your day. Take deep breaths to deepen that connection, enhance that connection. In or out through nose or mouth, doesn't matter. As long as you're feeling your body where it's at. You're not pushing it somewhere else. And that's really what we're going to focus on today is we're not going to rush today. After you've landed, I want you to push your sitting, you can keep your eyes closed still, and I want you to push your sitting bones down into whatever you're sitting on so that you can lift taller. Lift through crown of head, lift through heart, lift energetically, so this inward, upward movement. And so once you've got that lift, that foundation, that structure, now I want you to keep that and start exhaling, softening around it. So soften your shoulders, your arms and hands wherever they rest. Maybe your back body, maybe your belly. That's a good place to rest, to relax, to soften. Maybe your feet or your thighs that might feel some sensation from the pose. Let them rest and soften. And all the while, inhales draw you upwards. They keep fortifying your structure. And that's how we want the breath for the rest of this class. Inhales fortify, lift you up, strengthen. Exhales soften. Now, that doesn't mean that there are times when we won't maybe soften on an inhale and strengthen on an exhale. Different poses and movements call for different ways to breathe. But as an overall, inhales lift you up. Exhales soften around the structure. 3 more breaths here, just like that. Good. So go ahead and come off your block. You can set it aside. We might use it for one pose later on, but we don't necessarily need it. Come into hands and knees, and I like to go into downward dog right away after Virasana and pedal out the legs and feel the energy come back to your legs, that flow of energy back to those strong legs. And then come back down onto your hands and knees. Take a moment. So we're going to take a moment to truly set up. I like to do this in every series if I can fit it in, because we all need the reminder of what a proper setup is. So take a moment to place your hands underneath your shoulders, and then look at your 2 index fingers. I'm lifting them up now, kind of wiggling them on the mat. If all the other fingers weren't there, your 2 index fingers would make the number 11. A very wide 11, but 11 nonetheless. And then the 2 index fingers should be as wide as your middle shoulder. So not your inner shoulder, that's too narrow, and your outer shoulder might be a little wide. Just the middle of your shoulder. You can kind of look and gauge down. Now keep your hands right where they are. Push the index finger mound, the one in the palm, down. And that's how your hand should be set all the time. The only additional change I'd like to add is turning your elbow creases forward while keeping your hands structured as they are. Now you've got your knees underneath your hips. And instead of going back to downward dog right away, I want you to take one leg back, straighten your leg, pull your belly in, and then the other leg back. Straighten that leg, pull your belly in. You're in plank pose. Our alternate option is to drop your knees and your hips. So you're in a half plank, but with still action. If you have low back issues or are pregnant, you can come to simply a tabletop and just pull your belly in, strengthen your arms, tuck your toes, activate your feet. So whichever option you're in, I want you to just hold with the strong foundation. Arms, legs, core. So I said it was a slow-moving class. I didn't say it was an easy class. We're going to be here 5 more long breaths. Let the heat build. Drop your knees if needed, but stay in it. One more breath. Push those index finger mounds down. Stay long through your spine. Big inhale. Exhale, downward dog. So for downward dog from plank, I set my feet in about 2 inches forward, but that's just because of the way my body's built. You might step your feet in a little more or a little less. In downward dog, I know we're still here on the arms. That's okay. Lift your seat up like someone's got a hold of your thighs, pulling you upward to the sky. Crown of head towards the ground. Arms strong, belly in. Knees can be bent as much as you need. 3 more breaths here. On an exhale, come into child's pose just to reset. And in child's pose, you can make it how you need. My knees are about as wide as the shoulders, toes touching. And I've got my hands supporting my forehead to create some space. The reason I wanted to rest now is because we're going to go into some slow-moving sun salutations, and I don't want to take the aggravation with us. I want to set the aggravation down, regroup, feel good, and then we're going to bring our setup, our strength back in. So as you're ready, bring your hands forward, index fingers parallel, inner lines of hands push down, come to hands and knees, downward facing dog. Make sure you've got enough length that your hips can be high, your ears in line with your arms. Inhale, right leg high. Push your right foot to the sky on an exhale. Take one more inhale. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, right leg high. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, right leg high. Exhale, knee to nose, foot in between hands. Take a moment with your hands framing your right foot, and this could be somewhere where the blocks come in handy. Check in with your back leg, and then widen your stance so that you feel that your feet are truly hips width apart. And then inhale, rise up. In high lunge, just stay. Straight back leg, right knee like a square. Feel your strong foundation. Inhale, build the structure up. Exhale, send energy down and feel the earth underneath your feet. And yeah, you can even use your arms just like I was doing kind of without thinking. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Let's do 2 more of those. Inhale, arms to sky. Exhale, hands down, and we're going to go straight to downward dog to skip the vinyasa this first cycle. Focusing on what we can touch, what we can feel. Our bones and our muscles. Inhale, left leg high. Flex the foot and push it to the sky as you exhale. Inhale, reach it higher. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, left leg high, back to down dog. Exhale, knee to nose into plank. Inhale, left leg high. Exhale. This time, step your foot through. Take a moment and look at your feet. So widen your 2 feet so they're truly hips width apart. Push your feet down and rise up. Stay here in your high lunge. Front knee like a square, back leg straight. Energy moves up. Soften down. Keep the structure. Connect to your body. Understand what it is you can see and feel. And anything that's too complicated, you just set it aside for a little bit. Maybe a couple of those breath with arms. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale down. Twice more. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, hands plant, that good setup, straight to downward dog. Again, working with where we're at. Same thing, just a little bit more straightforward, and we won't hold as long. Inhale, right leg high. Exhale, knee to nose, and then set your foot in between hands. Take a moment to get set up. and then rise up, high lunge. Exhale, take a moment to feel the ground underneath you. Inhale, reach up high. Exhale, stay. One more inhale. Exhale, hands frame right foot. Inhale, step back plank. We've been here before. Exhale, rock forward on toes, bend elbows halfway. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. So if you need a variation on your sun salutation, or your vinyasa rather, you can come, I'm just going to show, you can come to your belly and cobra, or you can skip all that and do cow cat in tabletop. Meet in downward dog if that's appropriate, and we'll all pause here. Inhale, left leg high. Exhale, foot through to hands. Should have done knee to nose there. We'll add it in on the next one. Take a moment to get your feet steady. Inhale, rise up, high lunge. Exhale, get low. Inhale, draw energy upwards, fortifying your structure. Exhale, stay steady, but soften around your muscles, around your bones. One more inhale. Exhale, hands frame, left foot. Again, you work with your modification unless you're going with the full chaturanga. Inhale, plank, true plank. Exhale, rock forward and lower. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Take a deep breath. One more each side. Just one breath this time in your high lunge. Inhale, right leg high. Exhale, knee to nose. Foot in between hands. Take a moment. Inhale, rise up, high lunge. Full exhale. Stay where you are. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands frame foot. Inhale, step back. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Big breath. Inhale, left leg high. Exhale, knee to nose. Let's do one more, add it in. Inhale, left leg high. Exhale, knee to nose, foot in between hands. Get set up with the legs. Inhale, rise up, high lunge. Exhale here. Inhale, reach higher, strong foundation. Exhale. Big inhale. Exhale, hands frame, foot step back. Inhale, and exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Breathe. Inhale, right leg high. Exhale, foot through to hands. Take a moment again with your hands framing that right foot, or use your blocks, and drop your left foot down. Look at your right heel and draw a line down your mat to the middle of your left arch. From there, kick your left heel back a little bit. This is going to be your warrior two stance. Rise up. Stay right here. In warrior two, look at both fingertips. They should be in line with your shoulders. So often it's kind of like this. We want to be in line with the heart, with the shoulders, the lungs. And it might help for this class to keep your gaze straight ahead rather than over your right fingertips, just to keep an eye to feel that energy pulling in both directions. Push into right foot. Notice if you feel your right footprint more than your left. Push into left foot. One more breath, warrior two. Inhale, straighten right leg, arms up. Exhale, warrior two. So that's the movement, plain and simple. Inhale, straighten and lengthen. Exhale. Keep going. So not only is this just a great movement, it's great for your hips, your knees, your energy. It also helps define what it means to be a square in that right leg. So if you find your right knee is pushing further ahead of your ankle, then it's a good time to slide that right foot forward and take a wider stance. Couple more. Good. Inhale, straighten right leg, arms reach. Exhale, right hand forward and down. So this might be where you'd like a block, and I'm going to actually use it since it's right here. I'm going to bring my fingertips onto that right block, the block underneath my right hand, and reach my left arm up for triangle pose. And the reason the block is helpful is because it allows just a little more space. As many know, I also just like a flat hand on the shin because your shin is always there. So any of these options, whatever feels right. And in triangle pose, once again, make a footprint with each foot. And instead of focusing there, I want you to draw the structural map all the way up to your left fingertips. Kind of follow your bones of both legs, your spine, shoulders, skull. Couple more breaths here, triangle pose. And then peel upright as you bend right knee, warrior two, just one breath. Inhale. Exhale, hands frame, right foot flow at whatever pace, whatever route you need to go to downward dog or whichever pose you're taking. And pause. So you can build heat by going slow, just like you can build heat by going fast. That's through muscular action, breath, attention. Inhale, left leg high. Exhale, send it through. Drop your right heel. Look at your left back of heel and move it. Draw a line to your right arch. And then move your right heel back just a touch. From there, rise up, warrior two. And open up. Reach your arms. Stretch. Notice if your right hand wants to go higher or lower than your left. And just keep reaching. Again, maybe it's better to just look straight ahead rather than to your left hand, as normally we do. Check in with that square of your left leg and the footprint of both feet. Get a little lower in your left thigh rather than coming out of it. Inhale, straighten left leg, arms high. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten left leg. Exhale, bend. Inhale. Exhale. So again, we're moving in and out of these warrior two pulses. And I want you to just notice if your left knee is coming forward of your left ankle, if it needs a little bit of adjustment, meaning moving your left foot forward. Let's do 2 more. Next time you straighten left leg, inhale, and exhale, reach your left hand down. So again, block, possibly outside of your left shin, starting on fingertips for the most space, and then possibly moving to your flat hand, or hand on shin. And again, once you have your placement, don't overthink it. Start to push into the feet and use that pushing to draw your structure upwards. So follow the bones, the lines, the flow of your body, all the way to those right fingertips. Check in with your spine, your skull, your limbs. I like to move my neck around and find the place that feels the best. Two more deep breaths, triangle pose, Trikonasana. Inhale, warrior 2. One more breath like this. Full inhale. Exhale, hands frame left foot. Step it back and flow. If you've got a block in your way, move it out. And pause in downward dog. And drop your knees. We're going to come into dolphin pose. And so since I've got the block nearby, I'm going to use it, but it's not necessary. So the reason I would use the block would be to maintain a parallel line between left and right forearm. Another option, because we're really focusing on the spine here, it's okay to have the hands clasped, would be to clasp your 2 hands, but then you really want to push your wrists down. So I'll use the block since I've got it. I'm not going to hold the block. I'm going to bring the L shape of my 2 hands to the outer edge, and I'm going to nudge my 2 elbows close together. At the same time, I'm still pushing down index finger mound and my wrist and of each hand, and then moving my knees back. Pull the belly in, secure your upper back, push your finger pads down, tuck the toes, lift the hips like downward dog. And then with bent knees and high heels, walk your feet in to then push your heart towards your thighs. So once again, your ears are in line with your upper arms, just like in downward dog. But there's a difference in your shoulders. And the shoulders are a place where we require more structure. Most people. They're very mobile. They do a lot. And they do a lot of repetitive movement. So go ahead and kind of firm up around your shoulder girdle. At the same time, lengthen your neck and lift your hips higher so your spine is long. We're going to take 3 more long breaths. On an exhale, come back to child's pose. And once again, since I've got the block, I'm going to use it underneath my forehead. And just like before, using this as a way to preserve our energy, to ensure that whatever we do next can be done with integrity, awareness, presence. Inhale, rise up. We're coming on to the back. We're going to start with just a little bit of core work, as the core is probably our most important structure. And then end with the hips. So find yourself on the back. And then bring your feet so that your knees are in a square. So actually, I'll preface for people with low back or pregnancy. First of all, if you can't lay on your back, then you could do this maybe standing in chair pose and just lift a knee and then lift a knee like that. If you're along pregnancy where you're a little bit earlier on and you can still lay on your back, or if you've got low back issues and it's still comfortable to lay on your back, you're going to keep your feet down and lift one. So one foot is always on the ground. Second option, one step above that, would be to go tap, 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 tap. And I always like to keep my hands on my thighs to make sure my thighs don't come too close to the face, as we don't need that full range. We just want vertical to the tap. So final variation is both. So this becomes a little more intense. For me, it's natural to want to exhale on the journey down. If you feel you want to exhale on the journey up, that works for me. As you're doing this movement, solidify your core and maybe pull up pelvic floor. Which is part of your core. Last one. Good. Go ahead and just kind of shake out the legs, stretch them out, whatever feels good. And then bring your feet down. So we're going to come into bridge. So you might have kind of the exact placement you like for bridge. Check in that your feet aren't too far away, that you can still touch the back of your heels with your index fingers. And we're going to start very subtly and move on from there. So we will do a couple bridge lifts and end in bridge pose. So first, you can just take your hands kind of to your pelvic bones. You're going to inhale, lift your low back up so that your tailbone kind of moves away or towards the ground. And then exhale, you're going to flatten low back, lift your hips so your tailbone peels up. We'll do that a couple times. And so we're doing this to once again establish that foundation of the core, integrate it into the hips. With the breath. Good. Keep going. Inhale, push your tailbone towards the ground, lift low back. This time exhale, peel up towards high bridge. And then inhale, just come down. You don't need to do the full range of the pushing the tailbone down, but do scoop the hips as you come back up. Inhale, set the hips down. Exhale, scoop and lift. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. A few more of these. I'm just moving my arms kind of as a way to create the flow in my body, to relate it to the breath, especially because the structure is firm. It's there. And I like to connect to the flow of energy. So that's optional. One more flow. This time, hips stay high, lift them a little higher, walk your shoulders in. And then interlace your hands. Push your hands to the ground. Mine don't quite touch. Lift your hips high and breathe. One more inhale. Lift higher. Exhale, lower. Walk your feet away from you. Windshield wiper the knees. So just let them go. Maybe you knock a couple blocks over on the way. And then straighten the legs. Lay in Shavasana. We won't do a super long one, but please know you can always just continue on. So I want you to still inhale and fill up your physical body. Just filling it up with life. And on your exhale, let it melt into the ground. And maybe there's somewhere in particular that needs a little bit of that melting. Knowing that your strength, your steadiness, your structure remains. No matter what it is that's kind of standing in your way, you have those tools, that foundation to set up whatever you need. Thank you so much for being here. Have a really beautiful day. Take good care.